Wow, we have a beautiful amount of attendees and excited to share this space and introduce, first of all, Joel Hamilton, who will be teaching this program. Hi, Joel. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be here. This is a beautiful, beautiful, powerful program, and everyone that participates in the program is going to be so moved. This program is going to be life changing for everyone that is part of the program, and I'm very excited to be here and to be teaching this.
Awesome. Well, thank you, because I'm sure people are going to have a lot of questions. We also have Sarah Hawes on with us, who we featured a couple weeks ago for massage. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, nice to meet everybody.
All right, so she is here to also share in her passion for following this path as a massage therapist. So she's adding to her tool belt. So Sarah, we will hear from you. So that's what this is for. This time and space is really here for you to explore what a end of life doula is, which SWIHA, Southwest Institute of Healing Arts, is now offering online and on campus as a certificate of excellence, which is also being approved to take within the integrative healing arts practitioner as a specialty. So bring the questions as we roll into the agenda. We're really going to explore, first of all, what it means, right? What the role is, explore the pathways of becoming a doula, overview of the certificate of excellence itself, so the 100-hour chunk, the specialty. So Joel will explore what classes there are, what to expect out of each class. Course will tell you what the upcoming start dates are, and then we will invite all the Q&A so that you can get what you need. All right, so let's dive right in. I'm excited to get started. So Joel, I'm gonna, give you the floor, since this is your lane, and really tell us what the role of an end of life doula is.
Our primary function is to be available for the person that's having the experience. Our most important person in our role is the one that is transitioning from this life to the next existence. So we are there to honor them, to honor their wishes, to make sure that their wishes are considered and are the most important part of the experience. So many times death by the human species is hoarded. We keep it in the back room. We don't want to look at it. We just stick it away and tuck it away, and we never examine it. And it's never celebrated. It is spoken in quiet voices. We're afraid to speak of it with the person that's actually going through the experience. Unlike so many of our other lifetime rituals, like the birth of a baby, a child coming into the world, a wedding ceremony, those things are all celebrated and honored and cherished. And the very, very most important experience that we will have as humans is the experience of death. Death is part of life, and nobody gets out of this existence without that experience. And it should be honored foremost, more than anything else that happens in our life, because this is the point where we actually review our life. We review our experiences. We consider what we've done in our life as a person that's transitioning. And it is that final focus on who we are and what we've been to others. And it's not celebrated. It's tucked away. And so we want to stop that we don't want people to have that experience any longer. We want to bring it out in the open. We want to celebrate someone's life, their existence, all the things that they've accomplished, and the things that they'll take with them when they leave this planet. We can't take anything materialistically with us, but our experiences, our soul, are the things that are going to go with us into the next plane. And so it's really important for us as doulas to honor, cherish, and uphold the rights of the person that's actually having the experience. The family is important, but families are going through a lot of grief at the time that someone is passing. And so they sometimes act out of character, they act out of emotions, they act out of anger and denial and frustration and fear. And so oftentimes they will speak their wishes and their fears rather than honoring the wishes of the person that's going through the experience. So we as doulas take on the role of being the facilitator for the person that's transitioning in from this plane to the next, and holding their hand and guiding them and helping them through the experience so that they don't, when sometimes what happens is a family will try to push their personal beliefs onto the person that's having the experience. If their beliefs are different, their religious beliefs, and they don't honor the faith of the person that's actually going through the experience. So it's important at that point in life, during the transitioning phase, that the wishes, the faith, the belief of the people and the person that is transitioning, that their wishes are honored. If we don't do that, it can shake their faith, and it can make that experience, that last final experience into the unknown, one of fear and one of regret. So as a doula, it's our responsibility and our role to really hold the hand and support the beliefs and the needs of the person that is actually having the experience.
So question, how do you get the family on board with that? And what if the person who's transitioning or soon to transition has a difficult time communicating? What is the reality of that?
So hopefully there's a time and a point where you're able to meet the person that's actually having the experience. You perhaps can look at notes or memoirs. We can understand what their faith is. We can inquire to the family what their path has been in the recent past or over the path of their life. And the family will very openly share that with you, because they'll say, well, that's what they believed and I don't agree with it, but, so that can help us facilitate an understanding if the person that is actually transitioning is not able to readily communicate with us. And we can support the family by making them or helping them understand the grief process, the different stages of it, and also understanding that their needs are important and will be met after the experience, during the experience, but during the experience, the most important needs are those of the person that is actually transitioning. I know that I have a contract that I have all the family sign, and they agree to facilitate the needs of the person going through the experience first, and that person's needs are foremost over theirs. And so they sign a contract saying, I understand. I teach them. I hold meetings with them to help them understand. I listen to everybody's needs, and then I help facilitate them receiving what they need to get out of the experience, but help them understand that it's important to uphold the faith and experience and needs of the person that is actually dying. They will readily do that. Sometimes it takes a little time to get them all on board, but open, honest communication, both with the person passing and the people that are the family, is really, really important. Honesty is utmost and most important. So I know that in many of my experiences working with someone that's transitioning, they will say to me, am I dying? If they ask that question to the family, oh, no, that's not what's happening. You're going to get better. This will pass. You'll come home. But we know when someone is at the end of their life. And it's important for us to be honest with a person that asks us that question, am I dying? Yes, you are. I'm here to help you. I'm here to hold your hand. I'm here to help diminish the unknown and the fear of the experience. This is a rebirth. If that is their belief. For some, they believe they go to heaven. Others have other beliefs. So we have to speak to them in a neutral fashion within the belief of their life, their faith. And we have to speak to that. That's the most important part.
Sarah just had a good question, Sarah. I'm going to let you ask Joel that.
All right, so my question is, as a doula, do we allow ourselves to be available to obviously the patient as well as the family at all hours? Like, do you provide them with your information? What steps would you take? Because they unfortunately we all pass at all hours of the day and evening. So what would you recommend for something like that?
I think we all have to draw our own boundaries. And for some people, those boundaries are far greater than others. Some of us are committed fully. I'm not saying that having boundaries doesn't mean you're not committed fully, but I'm saying some of us want to be there for everyone that we're working with. I personally don't take on more people or more jobs than I'm able to deal with when it comes to this kind of work. Mine is a very personal connection to the family and to the person who's having the experience. So I want to be there during those hours. I want to be there to hold the hand of the person that is going to be, having that experience. That's really important to me. That's not the same path that all of us will take. Some of us we have a family. We have hours that we're available. We can make appointments with a family. We can make appointments with a person that is having the experience. We can create our own boundaries. They can be, some people's boundaries are different or less expanded than another doula's boundaries might be. So you have to be honest up front with the family and the person that you're working with so that they know your availability and when and if they can call you. I don't care if I get a text at 3 a.m. because this is my heart's goal. It is my heart's path, and it is my calling. And I am a reverend. I'm ordained, and this is the work that I have been called to do. So I have very few boundaries when it comes to times of day or whether it's early morning hours, whether it's late night, whether it's 4 o'clock in the morning. If I can be there, that's where I want to be. But every person has their own boundaries. And you as a practitioner, as a doula, working with families and those that are going through this experience, can set your own boundaries and your own rules that fit your heart, that fit your business plan, that fit your commitment to the process. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Joel, thank you.
Perfect. Well said. And we do have some questions coming in. I know we like to hold them till the end, but I feel like they're so much more powerful in real time as they come up. So Marie, let me know if you'd like me to unmute you so you can ask the question live. Melissa as well, let me know if you would like me to unmute you so you can ask the question live. Joel, how long have you been a doula personally?
I have been a nurse since 1980. So
Wow.
I got a degree in nursing in 1980. And that was in New York. I moved to Arizona in 1983. I worked for County Hospital. There was what I consider the first pandemic that occurred in the world as we know it, which was AIDS and HIV. And so I saw a period of time where in about 7 months period, I lost 18 friends to AIDS and HIV.
Wow.
And I was there and made a commitment to every single one of them, and I held their hand as they left this plane. And it changed my life. And as a nurse, I saw hospitals turning those in need away because it was a disease that we didn't understand. We didn't know how it was transmitted. There was a great deal of fear and anxiety over even being close to someone that had AIDS or HIV. And my being a nurse, I had no fear. Many of my friends were people that were dying of AIDS. And so I decided when I saw hospitals turning people away, I decided I needed to do something different. So I became an HIV traveling nurse. So I went to people's homes, people that were homebound. I woke them up in the morning. I got them bathed. I gave them their IV drips. I gave them their medication. I got them up out of bed, setting up in a chair. I got them their breakfast. I did all the care that they needed. And so I did that work for about 14 years. I sat with hundreds of people as they transitioned. And so this has really been my life plan. It wasn't something I planned. It's just something that came to me. And that's the way the universe works. The universe brings you those things that are your gifts, that are your graces, the things that connect you to your heart and to your purpose. So I've been doing.
Thank you for sharing your path to this, place of service. That's beautiful. Marie, I'm going to actually unmute you, and then Melissa, I will unmute you so that we can hear you. I believe hearing your voice would be special in this time and space. So Marie, let me know if you can hear us, if you can say something and ask your question to Joel.
Hi, Becca and Joel. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes.
Hi, awesome. So I guess just my question was, if there's a bit of a palliative care role with the end-of-life doula, such as kind of, helping them to, I know you touched on it a little bit, maybe just kind of like prayers. And I know sometimes with palliative care roles, there's massaging and like helping them feel more comfortable at this end of life stage, a more holistic approach type of thing. Is that very similar or the same thing as the end of life doula? And so that was just my question.
So palliative care borders on the edge of healthcare professionals. Mm-hmm. And there are certain things within the palliative care arena that it can only be offered and given legally by a healthcare professional. Our role is it's important for us to acknowledge that there is a difference between a healthcare professional and a doula, someone that is there for emotional, spiritual support, as well as some of the physical things. So we're there to make them feel more comfortable. We're there to honor their spiritual wishes, perhaps offer a prayer, perhaps hold their hand, perhaps sit with them when they really need to express what they're going through. We can also comb their hair. We can wash their face. When they're having a hard time swallowing or breathing, we can be there to give them just that little bit of comfort with some water or a little bit of ice on the lips, to be able to put some lip balm on their lips when they're cracked and dried and they're in pain. Things that will make them feel more comfortable. And that is not really a palliative role, but it is a loving doula role.
Yes.
We're there to touch their life and bring their soul and their body to a space of comfort. And that is super powerful.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Melissa, are you there to ask your question? I have asked you to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I first wanted to say thank you so much for having this webinar. I'm really grateful for this. This is something that I have been called to do and am just now taking the steps to do it. But my question is this. I currently work for a funeral home, and I also am a Reiki practitioner, and I'm trying to paint a picture for how this is going to fall into place in my life. And I guess what, very long story long, how I guess generally speaking, when somebody hires a death doula, I know it's going to be different for everybody, but is it like a certain number of weeks? Is it a certain number of days? And obviously sometimes, you know, in the final hours, but generally speaking, what's the length of time that you have to get to know somebody that you're hired for, or that they're asking for?
Right. It really depends on how soon the family and the person that's having the experience recognizes their need to have a doula. And
Okay.
I act as perhaps a coach. I act as a friend. Sometimes it can be 6 months. Sometimes it can be hours. Oftentimes it is at the point where someone goes in to hospice care, that it's recognized that there's a need for someone to facilitate the experience for the person that's passing and for the family. So to enter hospice care, it can be from like 1 day to 6 months.
Right.
Most often it's a shorter period of time than that. So generally, for most situations, it's a matter of weeks, perhaps even a week or 5 days or a couple days. But generally, it's maybe a couple weeks to 3 weeks before I might actually get to meet them. But they're still coherent. Most of some are not. But it's important for you as a doula to be available for the family to chat with. A little bit of counseling or sharing sessions between you and the family members, as well as taking the time to sit with a person that's actually transitioning and allowing them, because they will fade in and fade out, and they will be present sometimes and not present other times. So I really try to take the time, if I'm working with someone that's hard to have them communicate with you, I like to be there for a couple of days initially for a great deal of time to give myself the opportunity to catch those moments when they are coherent, when they are actually themselves, and really talk to them in a real way. So I'm not sure if that answers your question.
That definitely did. That absolutely did. And thank you for that. And I guess from your experience, would you say that having a pretty open and flexible schedule, like I said before, I know that this is something I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm just trying to figure out if it's something where I probably would need to give up my other jobs to be flexible and open, to be present and be there. And from what it sounds like, that would be the case, to be able to put your all into that.
Not necessarily. So I'm probably one of the busiest people I know.
Yes, you are.
It's always been that way, but I make time for those things that are important. And the
Sure.
rest of the people and jobs in my life just have to understand that.
Perfect. Yep, I understand that completely. Yes, thank
so
you.
I know that if I want something done, I ask one of the busiest people I know.
Okay, thank you.
Don't quit your
Yeah.
day job.
Well, luckily my day job is a funeral home, and they're being very supportive of this.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And just like a lot of holistic entrepreneurs, Melissa, I mean, a lot of people have their day job, they start building, you know, their clientele, marketing themselves. Like it's not you have to jump in, it's
Sure.
ease into it, go at your own pace, enjoy the journey. Sounds like you're in the right field to do just that. So
Yeah.
well
Thank
done.
you.
Thank you. Great question. Loretta, would you like to answer or ask your question live? I will allow you to speak if you feel comfortable with that. If not, I can ask your question to Joel for you.
That's fine. I just unmuted. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, hello.
Hello.
Hi, Loretta.
Thank you for this presentation. I'm wondering, are doulas accepted at all or most hospitals and hospices and healthcare facilities? Do you typically work there? Do you work in homes? And then who pays for it? Is it covered by any insurance or Medicare? Is it part of hospice, or how does that work?
So one thing to recognize is that what we do and the role that we play is completely and totally separate from the healthcare professional world. We are healthcare professionals, but we don't have that designation that legitimately allows us to be a healthcare professional. We are being accepted and being utilized in hospice care on a regular basis. And within the world as we know it, things have shifted so much, and recognition of the spiritual aspects of our body and our soul is so important now. So I would not suggest that you make your services available for payment from insurance companies at this point, because that is a lot of paperwork, and you better bill things perfectly. And some of this care is not recognized by the healthcare industry yet, as far as insurance companies. But certainly Reiki practitioners, people that do alternative healthcare, Reiki, polarity, massage, those modalities are recognized, and you could certainly, if you wanted to, bill for those services. Trying to think that there are so many different parts to that question. I want to make sure that I answer them all. So I think it's important to recognize what our role is, and to recognize that we are considered an alternative or holistic healthcare method for people that are transitioning. And hospice care absolutely recognizes who we are and finds a great need for what we do. And the families, once they meet you, once you know what you're doing and what your role is, the families really cherish the connection that they have with you, as well as the connection that you have with their loved ones. I don't know if I answered all those questions.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Perfectly said. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Loretta. Great question. That was also Beth's question. She was wondering, are hospices generally accepting of this companion service? Beth, I'll allow you to speak if you feel comfortable with asking more on that.
It was asked and answered. Thank you.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Beautiful. I'm glad we have these questions coming in. That's awesome. All right, Joel, so we're at planning ceremony. We didn't really get to that part yet. Would you like to expand on that?
Of course. There are many death rituals that are practiced and celebrated in many cultures, and recognizing the culture and the beliefs and faith of each individual person, and either knowing it firsthand or researching the information that you need to know once you are discovered by the parties that want to hire you. So there's a little bit of research, a little bit of work, a little bit of getting to know the culture of the person, asking questions, because oftentimes, even though they may be of a specific faith, and there may be certain ceremonies that govern a faith and how this all plays out, they vary according to the individual family and person. So someone might have be of the Jewish faith, and they have certain rituals that govern their faith and how this all plays out, the experience of death. But the caveat to that faith is that each family and each individual has a little variation on that, a little bit different personal connection and belief and experience around the death ritual. And so it's really important to get to know the family, know their faith, and be in a neutral space and be able to offer help, letting them find their answers. We're not there to tell them what they should do. We are there to let them find their way and let them tell us what their needs are and how they want this to play out. And we can honor, we can facilitate, and perhaps we can be a little creative in the way that we develop the death ceremony or the ritual around that experience for each individual. Yeah.
Thank you. Victoria, I know you raised your hand and have a question. So if you're driving, anyone who's driving, I definitely don't want you to type anything in. So please do raise your hand. I'll allow you to speak if you have a question, Victoria.
I have a bit of a different comment to make. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we can hear you.
About 5 years ago, I was a palliative resident. I was told I wasn't going to make it, except for maybe 7 months. This is 5 years later, so fortunately, I got better. But what really upset me when I was going through being palliative was people kept things from me. People, you would say things and they would say, oh, no, you're going to be here next week. Don't worry about that. I would try to make my wishes known. And my family says, why do you want to talk like that? Why do you do that? You know, you're just making yourself feel bad. And all these kinds of things, like they wouldn't allow me to express what I needed to express. And I should mention that I'm also a nurse, and I sometimes see the families of my patients doing the same thing, and it really infuriates me. They don't realize that sometimes the patient, knowing what's coming and knowing it relaxes them. They now know this is it. You might have a few days, a few months, a few weeks to live. That's fine. It gives them time to deal with what they have to deal with. So my comment is, please don't hide things from people.
Victoria?
Thank you. Yes.
Victoria, you're adding that in there is such a beautiful contribution.
Thank
and
you.
I honor you for sharing that personal experience with everyone here. I think earlier on when we first started this, I said being honest with a person that's dying is the most important thing. And I've had almost everyone that I've worked with say to me, am I dying? And my answer was yes. How can we move forward and experience everything that we need to experience unless we are grounded in truth?
That's
and
right.
I so honor you for that. We are stealing precious time by not telling the truth and by not sharing what's really happening to those that are going through the experience. And thank you so much for that, because we heal sometimes into life, and sometimes our healing heals us into death. And that is not a bad thing. And I'm so glad, it's really powerful that you have survived and you're still here with us. And I think part of that is so that you could share that little bit of information of truth for your experience, because that's so powerful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you. Wow, I got chills. Ah, beautiful. Okay. We have another hand raised. Dawn, would you like to speak and ask your question?
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you all for having this webinar. I appreciate being here. I appreciate what you're sharing. I wasn't going to say anything. I just wanted to come and listen because I felt led to be here once I saw it in my email. And after the last woman spoke, I just was like, okay, God, I have to say something. So in 2016, I carried what I call my warrior angel baby. She was diagnosed with trisomy 13 at 22 weeks. I was advised to have an abortion. I do not believe in abortions, so I refused to. And I just trusted God throughout that process. And it was put in the notes by one of the nurses that against her advice, I was choosing my faith. And I said, absolutely, every day, all day. And so I would never make a different decision. It was the best and most painful thing I ever had to do, was to love and care for a child that everybody else wanted to discard. But my comment is more so on how I felt towards her last days. She did go full term, and she lived for 40 days, about 42 days. But during that time, we would constantly have meetings about her care. And I was torn between, should I work? Should I stay here with her? And I just didn't feel like I was getting clear answers from doctors, to the point that I had to get my friends that were still on board with me, because I had a lot of friends who showed their true colors because they didn't agree with my decision not to abort her. But anyhow, I had to get the friends that I had and family that I had who were still supporting my decision to come into the meeting to really hear what I was hearing. Because on one hand, I was being encouraged to, be the mom I was being, to love her, to care for her. And I wanted to move her to another facility where I could spend more time with her. But after I signed all of the paperwork, they refused to allow her to move to the facility. So I got angered and I couldn't understand why. And they wouldn't just flat out say to me, she's dying. And I'm like, why won't you say it? I have a huge problem. I know that she's not going to live forever. I just am not the one who can make the decision to end her life. I have to let God take her life just like he gave it. And so it bothered me so much that these medical professionals skirted around the issue of saying to me, she's going to pass any day. And so I would encourage any medical professionals on this webinar today to, if you have a patient that you know who is going to pass, don't be afraid to say it to the family, regardless of how you feel they may receive that, because they need to know that so that they can prepare themselves mentally, spiritually for what's coming. Even though they know it's going to happen eventually, if you have any inkling that it's going to happen today, tomorrow, or the next day, say it, because the family already knows it, but they really do need to hear you say it. They shouldn't have to go through turmoil over it, because in my mind, I lost valuable time with my daughter that I could have had simply because that wasn't said. I was led to believe that I should go to work and continue to prepare a space for her at home so that she could come home. And the day that she was discharged, on the way, her father took her, and I went to go get the car. On the way to get the car, I got the phone call that she had passed. And it was devastating, because you wouldn't allow me to move her to this other facility where I could spend more time with her until her last breath. But you would allow me to discharge her finally, knowing that she was going to die. That just broke my heart. And it's taken some time for me to get over it. But I've come to understand that we go through things for more than ourselves. And I'm accepting my role as having to have walked through that so that I can help someone else. And so that's why I'm here. I'm here because I am feeling led to become an end of life doula, so that I can be that strength for somebody else, because I know the pain. Thank you again for allowing me to speak.
Dawn, thank you so much for sharing that beautiful, beautiful, your words, your experience. You know, angels are sent to us in all shapes, forms, and ages. And I believe your daughter was an angel that was sent here to teach you the experience that you had, perhaps so that you could be led to this space and time, perhaps so that you could be a voice for her as a doula, perhaps so that the experience that you had would be an experience that one less person might have. Perhaps you can be a voice and advocate for yourself and for your daughter. And this is really a beautiful role, since the healthcare industry doesn't necessarily follow the same spiritual and heartfelt connection or process that we do as doulas. Perhaps that's our role. Perhaps that's a challenge that we can pick up and carry for those people that are not allowed to have the truth. Perhaps we can be that voice. I so appreciate your sharing, which you shared with us. And I think that was really powerful. And I'm so sorry that you maybe didn't get as much time with your daughter, but you know, recognizing that all of us that are involved within the process of death and dying, go through stages of denial, stages of anger, stages of bargaining, bargaining with the idea of death, and the process of being depressed about it, and then finally accepting that it is what is the truth. I am an advocate for truth always, and I think the healthcare industry has a long way to go. Perhaps our role will help facilitate change in a really positive way for people that are going through the experience that you had.
Oh, God bumps all over the place. So we have more questions coming in. I know we're running out of time already. We could do this probably all evening. People are asking about the curriculum, so let's just jump into an overview of the 100-hour certificate itself, which yes, is online and on campus. So Joel, I'll let you give us that overview, pretty please.
Of course, it's right here in front of us. But it's such an incredibly powerful 100-hour training process. We're understanding the process of death and dying and afterlife, and how we can approach it and befriend the process instead of living in fear of the process. We do review different theologies and varying concepts on death. We see your heart, your individual heart. You find your own way and belief in the process of going through our first class on death, dying, and the afterlife, and how you connect to it, how it is a part of your life, how it helps you examine why your fears are what they are, or perhaps you don't have any fear. We all come to this space together to share and grow and learn from one another, and that's what the first class is all about. And then we go through, our second class is life review and the process of grieving. And oftentimes when we approach death, we, as an individual going through the experience, we kind of look back on our life and we say, what did I do? What did I make any significant mark? Did I change anybody's life? Did I help anyone along the way? And that's a real common thing. And we as doulas will help the person that's having the experience perhaps review their life, recognize things that they contributed to their family, to the people they love, to the experience of others who have lived with them or around them. And that's what that's all about. And recognizing that grief isn't a place where we want to live, but it's okay to visit there when we need to. And just because we experience grief and hurt doesn't mean it's a lack of faith. Grief is the cost of loving someone. We have love, and when that person is gone, we don't have any place to give it because the person is no longer with us. So that causes us some pain. But recognizing that that pain is the cost of our love that we had for that person, and just sending it back to ourselves or other people in our life is really an incredible experience and process. And then we go into the final class, which is the end-of-life ritual and ceremonies. And it's all about coaching you in being in a neutral space and helping others create ritual, and maybe perhaps families around ritual of the dying process, both during the experience and after. So this process and these rituals are for the person that's actually transitioning, and then perhaps for the family afterwards. So it's really an in-depth discovery, but self-discovery of how you can take this personal experience that someone is having and sharing with you and help them make it their own.
Beautiful. Okay, so that's an overview of their certificate and the classes. We have some more questions coming in that I do want everyone to be able to ask. So Kenneth, would you like to ask your question? I'll allow you to speak if you feel comfortable asking out loud.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Kenneth.
Hi. I just wanted to ask what your suggestion would be for somebody considering myself to take this program, but I have never really experienced death and dying in my life, or any family member, friends, things like that. So kind of like, am I sensitive enough for this program? What would you suggest?
So if you're even considering this program, it's connected itself to your heart in some way. And it shows that you have a depth that you're wanting to explore. And this will be a different experience for every person that comes together in this program. Every person will take their own individual beliefs and experience and with them, and it'll be a culmination of everybody's thoughts. We'll all learn from each other. I know that as a teacher, I learn as much from my students as I think I teach them. And so we learn from each other because it's really a transformational experience of the heart. And I think the mere fact that it's something you're considering is an invitation for you to come and do it, to be a part of the experience. And you know, even if you don't take it to that place of being a practitioner or being an actual death doula, you'll take this information with you for the rest of your life. And it will impact you and the people you love. And it will change who you are. And my hope is that you can play a role in facilitating change in the world. And that can be in many, many ways. It doesn't have to be as a death doula or practitioner in this way of working with people as they die. Perhaps it's the way you show up. Perhaps it's the way you work with your family and the people that you love. Because even one life that you touch with this experience is worth it.
Thank
Beautiful.
you. Yes, thank you.
Good question. Thank you, Kenneth. All right. We do have a couple more questions. Susan, I will see if you would like to ask your question. If you would like to speak, otherwise I can ask it out loud.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, yes.
Hello. Well, I just had a question. I feel like I've been called to learn this because of experience that I have had in the last couple of years with my mom, with my boyfriend's mom. You know, I've been with my mom, I took care of her for the last 10 years, but with my boyfriend's mom, I met her and within a week she was gone, but we had a very big connection during that time. And then I read about it and I'm like, I think this is what I need to be doing, even though it doesn't have anything to do with what I've done before. But because of the work that I was doing with my mom and Mickey's mom, when you are, we had hospice with there, and they take care of the person and they wash them, and I know they take care of the medication as well. So my question is, how do you work with them so you're not like stepping on their what they need to be doing, but you are able to provide that care to the person that is transitioning?
So I have worked in this industry and with this role, as well as the role of a nurse. And there are pretty clear definitions. Sometimes there are a little bit of gray areas, but having a conversation with whatever hospice facility you're working with and understanding what they will do and what they will not do, and also understanding what you're capable of doing and what you're willing to do for the person going through the experience. But the difference is whether you're not going to be giving anybody medication.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything that will be administration of drugs or anything of that nature. But you can offer that comfort, that voice, that ear for them to speak to. You can hold their hand. You can give them the truth that they need. You can help facilitate a space of healing for them as well as the family and a deeper connection through the experience. I don't know how many of you have ever gone through the experience of being with someone when they pass. It is very difficult, especially if it's a family member, and it is a hard role to play, but it's an incredible gift, because it's a gift that is not often experienced. It is a gift that the person that you're with is sharing with you. And it is a hard role to play, but it's also incredibly beautiful, powerful, and rewarding, because you are facilitating the transformation of one soul into its next existence. I'm trying to explain how death is, and it's not the end. I know that through seeing my personal experience. It's like a butterfly. It's like a caterpillar putting itself in a cocoon and re-emerging as a butterfly and flying off in this beautiful, beautiful set of colors in their wings. And it's just a immersion in a spiritual journey for the person that you're working with. And so you will be able to understand, if you facilitate conversation and communication with family, with the healthcare workers, just what your role is. And it's different for each experience, because not everybody wants the same thing. But communication, talking to the family and the person going through the process and the healthcare workers on site is really the important factor in understanding what your role will be and how that will play out.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Dominique, let me unmute you so you can ask your question. Looks like we're about to wrap it up here soon. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, hello.
Hi, I want to say thank you so much as well. This seminar is so beautiful, and it's like something that I also feel super called to. And I want to say, everyone who's spoken, I appreciate your guys' experiences, and I think you are all so strong and beautiful in your own way. And I think it's amazing that we're all can be like in a community wanting to do the same thing, and just such like I feel like it's just so spirit led, and I'm very thankful. But my question was, like, once you do your certifications and you get like, I feel like all the knowledge and you need, how do you gain that experience? How do you gain clients, patients, people to help?
So the experience within that role is part of one of the classes where we will send you out into the field working with the healthcare system, fulfilling the role of a volunteer. And as a volunteer, you will be carrying on many of the duties that a death doula would provide. There's nothing stopping you from doing that as long as the people you're working with in the facility that you're working with allows you to do that. There's a very distinct training process that volunteers go through, and you will benefit from that process and that training through this course. And then you will begin to understand. You'll begin to embrace what your role will be. And the only deciding factor that might be out of your control is what legally you can do and what you can't do. You are the leader of your heart. You are the leader of your journey as a death doula. And the sky is the limit as far as how much you can help someone through the process of transitioning from this plane to the next. Having an open heart, being honest and truthful with yourself as well as the people you're working with, in the divine that is all-encompassing in the world, that part, whatever it may be for you, that energy in the world that gives you life and passion, that will guide you and help you find your way. We aren't all born instant death doulas or end-of-life practitioners. We are born human, and our humanity will guide us through the process of becoming a death doula. Because humanity, even though we're all human, is not that common anymore. And perhaps that role that we play in our life, in the life of helping others through that process, is really what our path is.
I love that so much. Thank you. I agree.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. We had an anonymous question asking, is the end of life doula certificate available to do as a standalone, or do I need to be enrolled in something else? And the answer is yes, you can take this as a certificate of excellence, 100 hours on campus or online. Start dates on campus September 5th. Need to enroll 2 weeks prior to get your spot. I mean, as soon as possible, if you feel called. Trina was on, she's an admissions coach. She typed in the chat. That's her direct line. I put it in the chat. You can leave a message. She'll get back to you first thing in the morning. Absolutely amazing. And then online, October 30th, that will be available. We also just found out that this will be an add-on specialty within the Integrative Healing Arts Practitioner Diploma, which is very exciting because that is a more well-rounded program where you learn how to market yourself, how to, brand yourself, and really step into that role of becoming an entrepreneur. Certificates of excellence specifically aren't designed to be like the career-oriented gainful employment path, but if you feel called to start there, this is a beautiful way to do so. We've had amazing questions today, Joel. How was that?
Amazing. We have the room is filled with beautiful souls, and when you come to class, you're going to find the experience to be incredible. And I want to thank all of you for your bravery, for your questions, for your help, your heartfelt connection to what you really want to do. I hope you find your way. I look forward to seeing many of you in the upcoming class, and blessings to you all, and may you facilitate change and healing in everybody's life.
Amen. Well, perfect. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you all for being vulnerable, for sharing. I know the big takeaway is let's not bypass our opportunities for our spiritual experience as humans. So thank you all for sharing in that important reminder. And thank you, Joel, for leading this program so that the souls who've been called through their pain and their grief can now be that guiding light in other lives. So thank you.